Moo and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pinktron. I am Brent Robinson, and I am joined today by Sean Fogenberg. Sean, what are you drinking?
I'm not boring this week. And I sound relatively normal this time. We're getting there. So this week I've got a Sierra Nevada Dank Little Thing Hazy IPA. Uh,
Dank.
Dank, which, you know, kind of those hop terpenes are really close to weed ones. So
Sometimes I never cease to be amazed by your PhD knowledge. Good job. We also have Chris Greenland. Chris, what are you drinking?
I'm so excited to be having this beer today with you guys. It's been a couple
woo!
of boring weeks. I've been
Ooh.
saving this. I earned this after crossing the finish line at the Rock Cobbler a couple weekends ago. So this is the Rock Cobbler 11.0 Rouleur Brewing Company edition. So it's a tall boy, little IPA action. But after like tea last week and being sick and just my body not being able to handle a beer, I was really looking forward to cracking this one with you because
What percent are we talking on that?
I don't think it's anything too crazy. 6.8.
Uh, I guess during that you rode through a bar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You ride through a
So
bar?
yeah, they had us ride through a bar. We were getting Coors Light hand ups by the bouncer. So much fun. If you ever find yourself in the vicinity of Bakersfield in or around February, and I'm not sure why you would if you weren't going to do this ride, I highly recommend it. I did they call it the Pebbler edition, but that's kind of my sweet spot. It's like 100K, mixed surface, buttload of climbing, but just a real good time. We rode through a bar, for God's sake. Um, just really, really crazy, really wacky. I'm definitely going to go back and do this again. Um, if you want to get like video footage, I know Vegan Cyclist does this every year. He was there with his merch tent. So he's got great ride race recap videos to see how insane it is and all the cool stuff you get to do. So beautiful. Highly recommend. I'll be there next year.
Good. And with me also is Steph Etchen. Steph, what are you drinking?
Well, I've just did race one. I had my recovery shake, and now I'm having a big mug of hot chocolate for a bit.
And that was HWR race one, right?
Yep,
Perfect. And we're coming to you for the preview slash recap.
And well,
yep.
also we've got John Keenan with us. John, what are you drinking?
Yeah, I too raced race one. So my recovery drink is slate milk, dark chocolate, ultra filtered milk. My wife bought a case of this and decided she found something better. So now it's mine.
It's milk in a can?
It's milk in a can with chocolate. And it's one of those filtered ones. I don't know if you've had any of the slate stuff. It's like, I don't know, 20 grams of protein somehow crammed into this little can, 1 gram of fat.
No.
Like,
I live in the Canadian dairy desert where our dairy products are all regulated by the federal government for the purpose of enriching the farmers.
oh,
We
yes.
don't get good dairy product here.
Yeah.
It's
None
like
of
if you want to
that free
import,
market stuff. We don't want
yeah,
that
you want to
going on.
import French cheese, it's like, you got to do like Great Escape subterfuge stuff here.
Nice.
Like it's
Nice.
all it's all bad scene up here. And I have an Olay Paloma flavored mocktail, which, I am
Oh.
2 months plus on the wagon now. So
Good for you.
And Paloma is
very,
a flavor or
it's like a grapefruit flavor. I don't know. Like
okay,
I think
okay.
a Paloma is like a type of drink or something, right?
It's
That's
a tequila grapefruit cocktail. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So this is like, yeah, it's got grapefruit with a touch of agave. So it's nice. It's very refreshing. Although I
Yeah.
think I should be having Steph's hot chocolate because it's like snowing like bejeebus outside right
Oh,
now.
nice.
It's very good Zwifting
Step.
weather.
We're supposed to get 10 feet of snow in the mountains this weekend.
Well, speaking of mountains,
Yeah,
Herd Winter Racing Race 1
Nailed
is a
it.
mountain climb in
yeah,
Innsbruck.
yeah.
We are on Innsbruck Continental's hill climb course. which I think goes well, I've got that right? I'm reading that right?
Sounds right.
Innsbruck Continental's Hill Climb. I don't know that I've ever actually done this as a course per se, but anyway, it
Yeah,
starts
you
from the
go out of the pens, you go through the sprint backwards, and then slowly climb up to the top of the leg snapper backwards,
yeah, and then descend
and
the
then
leg
come down
snapper, and then over the kind of normal pedestrian bridge, and then straight up to the KOM reverse, and
and
then
turn
KOM
right up the
reverse,
reverse side. Yeah.
Yeah,
finish at the top.
it's just the reverse of the UC circuit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Except finish at the top, right?
Yeah, this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
So
think yeah, UC finishes at the banner.
the climb itself is 5.8K at 6.9%. This is the more stair-steppy one, the one that Craig and I really like. But you know, there's sections of sustained 14%, and then there's sections of sustained flat in between. So punch and recover kind of climb. It sounds like Brent's done this in under 20, probably in a race, I'm guessing.
In an HWR
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago to the day.
Oh, I think that was the one where we started straight up the climb.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that. I think that was the one that Dan Pedrosa did like a 15.
15, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Those of you who raced it, how'd it go?
It was a
Well-
false sense of security for the first kilometer. I thought, oh, I might actually be able to
Yeah.
hang on to these people. And then
Yeah,
we
was
hit
it-
that little rise to the toe snapper, and then it sort of stretched into a snake, and then everything sort of sped up from there, and then up to the top of the leg snapper. It pretty much had sorted itself by then.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I started pretty good at the power out at the start, and I think it was second or third out of the pen as a low C. Kept for quite a while with a big group, but on the reverse toe snapper, it was game over for me. I had to find my own rhythm from there onwards.
Yeah, it looks pretty spaced out in the back half of the race. No, not too many wheels to ride with once you got there.
Yeah, after the leg snapper, I think, like Steve said last week, somebody went flying by me with 3.7 watts per kilo, so he missed his start. And then for me, it was mostly up the climb. Somebody passed me, but I think he quit, and then it was me and a German guy who was pretty close to each other, but in the end, a distance at the top. So it's not my favorite side of the climb. I'm more of a tempo climby guy. The other side, which I did last week in Climbers Game, is much more my thing than the stair steppiness of the rest. But yeah, just what it is. Pretty solid effort anyway. So it's I think let me see 28 and a half minutes so for Losi at 2.8 watts. I'm pretty pleased with that effort.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, you
John?
can definitely see the differences in the styles. I didn't have the punch and recover. I was more just steadily going up, and there was two guys with me. One would just sort of surge ahead on parts and then fall back, and then surge ahead and fall back. But I managed to get both of them by the end, so that's a win.
Yeah, that with my guy as well. He kept on those flatter sections. He came right back with me, and as soon as it went up to the crazy percentages, I just opened the accordion again to him, and I think at least that last section was still brutal. It's not it's like slightly uphill, sort of below 5%, but after you're done, for me, there was like 26 minutes. Pretty brutal that last kilometer still, because it's kind of flat and you still want to keep the power on.
That's where you hit the bargaining phase of denial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just got to stay in front of this guy. I just got to stay
Yeah.
in front of him.
I don't have to go full out, right? From here to
Yes,
the end. I
I'm
just
not
need to go
sprinting the
faster than
last
him.
100 meters. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the worst is when you're like trying to get the wheels, like you're trying to stay on the guy's wheels and he just keeps going a little bit harder and you're like, dude, can you just relax for like 10 seconds so we can finish this race and like have a race? Because I am about to like fall off my bike right now.
Yeah, and by the way, I think that guy, or he wasn't on Zwift Power, or that passed me after the lag snap. I did think to 3.7 watts, or he stopped somewhere on the climb, and was way behind and just called it quits.
I think there were only like 31 at the start. It looks like there's 27 on Zwift Power now. So,
Yeah, there were quite a few that quit in that once you hit the climb. Were a couple of people behind me or around me that at the halfway up the climb, I didn't see their names on the leader.
That's too bad.
Hmm.
That's
But
too bad.
Ernst made it on top. He only did, yeah, he's a bit doing zone 2-ish, but he made it up with a average of 1.5. But he can do better, but normally, but he's in a bit, recovery zone 2 type of phase at the moment. But nicely chugged along and made it to the top.
Nice. Would you guys ride for bikes?
Well, I was still on my Pingtron. I was contemplating maybe I could use the Pingtron for that beginning. Then I was thinking, oh, maybe I should have the climber for the climb itself, but I didn't switch. I could have switched probably just before the climb because I had plenty of time, but I kept on the Tron.
I think I use a specialized Athos with the.
Yeah, I was thinking it's
Revolve.
contemplate. Yeah, I was thinking that there was the other option, the Atos with climbing wheels, but I just unlocked it like this week, so I had to
Gotta use
do
it.
my first third race on a Pingtron bike.
You never have to apologize for a Pingtron.
And I mean, I think the ethos may matter more if you're like worried that you're going to be close with someone and you really want to be hanging onto their wheel, but with a group that wasn't so big that you knew you were going to have other people around you, it's kind of still just like how much power can you do, because the gaps are going to be pretty big between people. So
I think there's a non-zero chance that you saved as much time as you would have saved having the lighter bike on the climb, having the Tron on the bottom in the group.
yeah.
Like you if you were on, like just you would have saved like probably it would have taken you say 5 more watts or 10 more watts average to hold that group even to get to the bottom of the toe snapper on with the special ethos with the non-aero wheels, right? So for the
Yeah, that was a surprise. I mean, that was the most pleased I could stay with the front group until the start of the toe snap. I was thinking, wow, me as a low C, I made it a couple of kilometers with the main group. Because usually before these races, I'm already chucked even before we exit the pen and the kilometers start at the top, start counting. Yeah.
It's good that when you're at that level, it's like every new race is a new experience, right? It's like, I'm a little farther with the lead group this time than I was last time. It's good. Good. I don't any other tips or anything for this one? I mean, the only thing I would just say on the reverse KOM too, if you're in a group, like if you're in kind of that bunchy start bit, there is kind of like about 600 to 800 meters in, there is like a little descendy bit. And if you can hold the groups through there without totally blowing your out, like it does go down to like a 1% dip for like 300 meters, I think about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's indeed a little bit of a downhill section and then you go up this steep section again.
Yeah, and if you can hold the group to there without like totally wrecking your pacing, I think you can save a little time, and especially if there's someone who you think you're going to be racing to the end and you can break them off the back by staying with the guys a little faster you through that. But once you get through there, you probably just need to watch your pacing, trying to hold with the leaders. Once you hit that 14% up around to the left, that's going to break you.
Yeah, I don't think you get any drafting except through that village section where you're maybe 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
And I was super happy because I have the Zwift Play now for a bit, and the virtual shifting on this was nice. Also last week with the Climber's Gambit, just shifting, it's so smooth.
Oh, Steph, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm not sure if it's a Zwift update thing or something just on my end, but any time now with my play controllers, if I touch anything on the right-hand side, I break. Like my bike breaks. So even if I hit any button on the right-hand side, I checked the firmware, everything's updated. I tried looking for updates. That's all I did. I didn't open a ticket with Zwift or anything yet. I didn't investigate any other potential issues or workarounds. Have you had any issues with that?
So far, I don't have really any issues. The first time I tried to start it out, some issues, but I think I just found my way to setting it up. The pairing was because I had some pairing issues now. But when you brought it up, one of my ladder teammates had something similar happen, and he had to quit like our ladder race because apparently I had for him it automatically braked as well. I don't know if he touched something, but he had constant braking at certain points. But so far, I didn't have any issues. Sometimes my left controller losing the pairing for a couple of seconds, but other than that, I found my way for the right way for the pairing. Just putting the usually have now my bike the Zwift hub unplugged. I put the Zwift controllers on, then I start Zwift, and then I power the Zwift, put it in the power for my Zwift up, and it seems for me that's a sequence. It seems to work flawlessly with the pairing, so I'm keeping it that way because and during races outside of sometimes dropping the steering connection on the left side for a bit. No issues so far, but yeah. But like I said, one of my ladder teammates had something similar happen, and he finally decided to contact Zwift for it because he was getting annoyed by it.
Yeah, Chris, what's your solution to that, Ben? Just don't touch that. Don't touch that.
I just turn them off. I just turn them off. I hard press the glowing Z just to shut it down. Because otherwise, like you can't. The right side is where you deploy power-ups, you return right-ons. Like even if I hit, even the shift up button activates braking. So shut them down, turn off virtual shifting. And I've tried it like with each of my pace partner rides the last couple of days that I've been in there, and it's every time. So I'll do some digging.
And how do you know in Zwift that it's braking? Like your speed goes down even though you're pedaling hard, or what do you see?
It's like a parachute comes behind you and you do get a brake light that shows up.
That
darkens on your seat tube.
And you get some haptic feedback usually. And I don't know.
I turn that off for batteries, but yeah.
You can come almost. For normally with the Zwift controllers, when you're steering, you push the buttons to the outside, but if you want to brake, you push them in the inside, and it's almost you come to an almost instant stop, or like within a couple of seconds, you're pretty much that's a stop. Stopped completely.
Great for bike changes, not great for sticking in the pack. Turns out.
I think it was for bike changes, but not for these kind of things. Yeah,
I've used it for pace partners where I get off the front and I'll just break a bit to get back into the pace.
Yeah,
car.
that's another good use for it, right? So
Yeah,
you don't
Yeah,
go
that's
outside of the
good.
zone. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, because during my warm up, I did the Quaker flat sprint, and I was way in front of the pace partner group, so I was noodling, but yeah, I could have braked.
Mm-hmm. And you can practice
And-
your sprint recoveries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brent, just for your reference, the Zwift Play is a Zwift controller that's sold here and in most other major markets around the globe.
It comes with a free can of slate milk.
And it works great when it works.
You taunt me so hard. Add it to the list of things you can't get in Canada along with good milk.
Yeah. Just for reference, Chris, because my teammates, so he sent like 6 mails to support, and he got 6 mails returned, and looks like for him they proceed to review the possibility to replacing this with play since he already tried multiple troubleshooting steps without any success. So might be just one of my teammates said maybe it's something wrong with the unit itself for him, but yeah, it's kind of crazy that it works for a bit and that doesn't work, but yeah.
It does sound like a hardware. It sounds like a kind of like a controller drift type of issue right inside the controller. Like it'd be weird for the software to recognize only the buttons on one side as brake. Like that's a weird software fit brake.
Yeah,
Sound,
and all the
sounds
buttons. So I thought maybe something got tweaked in an update software package somewhere, but yeah, it could easily just be on the hardware side. Like the bead of sweat gets in the wrong thing and lines accidentally cross, signal gets carried. I don't know. No idea how these things work.
Magic.
Yeah.
very good. All right. I think that's all for Herd Winter Racing. We're well into the sort of pushed lower results off, right, John? You said you pushed one of your low results off in this one, right?
Yeah, I know there's a discussion on the Facebook page about like, oh, you don't really have to do the rest of them, but yeah, I'm replacing like 47th, I think was my worst placement. So 47th to 17th. I bumped up 30 points right there.
Nice.
It's like doing a whole new race. Yeah, so it's definitely worth chipping away your lesser performances.
Very good. All right. Let's move on to Herd Beginner Racing for this week. Looks like it is on Park Perimeter in New York. And we are looking at
That's an interesting course for beginners. Nice and rolly.
yeah, 2 laps for the C's and D's, 1 for the very bottom. So we're looking 9.8K for the lower end and 20K for the upper end of the D's. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that looks right.
So yeah, I mean it's just the outside of New York, right? So
Yeah.
lots of rolliness. Biggest hill will be
The like Harlem Hill.
is it the Harlem Hill forward or the Harlem Hill reverse?
It's the counterclockwise, which I think is forward.
Okay. Yep. So that's definitely a spot you gotta watch to push on there. It's a long haul though from there to the finish.
Yeah, that's 3K into the 10K loop. So you got 7 more K of rolling after that. The finishes
Yeah, I was about to say
is a hard kick up to the finish. So that is one where knowing what that finish looks like is helpful.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think with my impressions, I usually go too late on New York. You got to go a little earlier into the downhill and carry that momentum into the uphill. So don't like you think like I'll leave it late and then I'll sprint into the hill, but it's actually like a downhill into an uphill, and I think you got to like
You gotta have speed
send
going
it,
into it.
carry through, and try and beat people up. Because if you try to just catch them once they're on the hill, if you've come from behind, I think you're too late. In my experience of losing races in New York.
This is our own version of the how the race was lost.
Yeah, I've done that one several times.
At least for the two higher categories, you have halfway through the lap for it. You have a recon of the finish
Yeah.
when you do
That's
the
right.
second lap, so you have a bit of an idea how it goes, and can maybe determine where you want to, depending on your level, where you want to start your sprint. Have some kind of visual marker that you want to how, for instance, you can do like 200 meters to go, fix a point or something like that. Should be.
Yep.
I've done it a couple of times, but I can't say any marker because I've done many races on it. I've done plenty of workouts on it, but
Yeah, I think just watch it's rolling, right? And it's like it is constantly like kind of 6% up, 6% down, 6% up, 4% down, 3% up, 2% down. Like it's just there's very, very few spots that are just flat and sit in. So just you're gonna have to be a little more active. Like if you've been doing herd beginner racing for a while, you're gonna need to be a little more attentive to what the pack's doing around you. You're not just really gonna be able to kind of cruise through and sit on the wheels. Um, look for places maybe if you're feeling frisky to press some of those climbs a little bit. Like there's Harlem Hill, there's the one up to the sprint line.
yeah,
That direction.
I was about to say that's a good point. I was looking at the profile that's as a bit of a kicker, and I think and just before for that actual kick up to the sprint, there are a couple of not so long, but there are definitely some uphill rises where you can maybe, if you're not the best kind of sprinter, but yeah, it's an uphill sprint, so you can break away maybe.
Yeah, it's a really good course, I think, for beginners. Once you've sort of mastered the basics of like sit in pack, sprint at end, to now start experimenting with like, okay, what do I feel like, and what does it feel like to try and shake someone and try and like, break them from distance, break them on a hill. What does it feel like to hold someone's wheel when they're trying to shake me on a climb without it being like a 7-minute climb up box or something, right? Like it's a 2-3 minute climb up Harlem. So you
Yeah,
can practice all that kind of stuff. That's what you should be thinking about.
I wonder if
yeah,
it's
looking at
harder with the subcategorizations that everybody's like really closely equal in power output.
Yeah, but do they start at the same time?
I think so at the
Oh no, I'm
moment.
just thinking in your subcategory. If you're with 10
Yeah.
people in your subcategory, like there's
Yep.
not a lot of differentiation between. I mean, maybe some people are a little better on the shorter end of the spectrum. And
No, I was just thinking from a tactical perspective that if you're,
yes,
one of those in that lower one that's only going to do one lap, if you can make it with the higher guys across Harlem Hill, you can separate from the rest of your race
oh
even
right,
before
because they're
then,
all
right?
on this course together. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, I think at the moment it was still together. I know Nate was quite a while, a couple of months ago, but his plan was to do like an HSRL style where the E category, the lowest, start first, and then the other category. But looking at the profile, yeah, there's definitely potential because you have Harlem Hill. You see, there's a kicker right behind them, a little shorter hill, but if you have the power, you can potentially break a few people there if you're on the stronger side of that upper echelon. Because I know for a while, I probably now I'm out of it again with my ZFTP. But even when I was a lower C with lower, my ZFTP was a bit lower. I could still do as a very low C, still was in that boundaries to do. Could still do like the HWR still again. So it's the custom categories. You can be a low C and still be in there, or you were bumped up to C because of your Z map. You're probably in there as well. So yeah, can be quite hard race.
Good. So we look forward to hearing how all our herd beginner racers are doing, and post in the comments how your races went. That brings us to Climbers Gambit. Chris.
Yes, Climbers Gambit this weekend is 4 of 5 of our We Love Hills series, and we are tackling the volcano, which, if memory serves, with the assistance of the internet, is a climb of 3.75 kilometers, average gradient of 3.2. I'm sure we all know that by this point. We've been up this about 14,007 times, which is why it's one of the hills that we love. So yeah, one of the more aero climbs we're going to find out there. For that reason, I think bike choice tends more to the all-rounder / aero. Maybe even some of us are on a TT bike for this, depending on how quickly you're going up it.
I think that
Thoughts, comments?
if you can do it in under 9-ish minutes, which is about 3.4. So if you can do 3.4 for 10, you're probably going to be best on a TT bike, because that is averaging about 15 miles an hour, 24K an hour, which is around where aero starts mattering more than the weight.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I had written this down. That's how important it was to ask you this question, because I know you always cite aero gains. And I was just wondering what the number is where that starts to matter.
I think it's somewhere in that
24?
somewhere in that 25-ish kph is where you're like, I'm going to be faster if I'm on a more aero frame.
Okay.
I doubt I'm doing it this week, but even if you're even if you're not at that speed, I think Tron is probably a better choice than anything else. If you decide not to go TT bike, because it's still a fast. It averages 3%. You're not, it's not a steep climb.
It's not a fair comparison. I'm right at that cutoff at 9 minutes and change. And when we did it in WTRL, I set my PR, but I had 3 fast guys dragging me up too. So
Yeah,
you're not going to get that on Climbers Gambit.
Right. Yep. So the draft is off for this one. And just a reminder to everyone, especially you, Sean, because I know you're a beer in at this point, but this is our hill climb segment where only the time on the climb matters. And draft is turned off, so you don't have the drafting bit on this.
And I remember from last time from James Bailey, the almost halfway up the climb, go through the volcano, the flat section can be important.
Yeah, this is one I've always broke up mentally into thirds. Like you have the first third is like the climb up to the hole through the volcano, and then there's that second half of the climb is split in half. Once you get to the bridge, a little bit of a relief, and then there's a final pitch up, punctuated by that double-digit blast to the banner.
Yeah, I've done a lot of volcano this week now that I think about it, because we'd had it in WTRL TTT. So
yeah.
So if you can do it's that 3.4-ish cutoff is going to get you at 15 miles an hour, but some of us, like Chris, your fastest time up this is actually basically 20 miles an hour. Brent as well, like that 7-ish minute range is 20 miles an hour. So that's the range where it's like there's no no thought, you're definitely taking a TT bike.
Were those in drafting events?
Those were almost certainly in drafting events.
Yeah.
But add 40 seconds and you're still going 18 miles an hour. So yeah.
Okay. I know I've done it with both. I've definitely done it on a TT bike, and I've definitely done it. For some reason, I feel like we did this. I think we did it I did it in a Climber's Gambit, and then I did it with Jimmy B as part of his hill climb series, like the next day. And I did one day on a TT bike and one day on a Tron or
and
Arrow.
What was the comparison?
Thinking back, I remember messaging him and just it was like seconds between them. So whatever you give back on one section, you get back on the opposite. And there's that thing, right, where you want to keep the average speed up to the point where Arrow matters. But if you're going hard where it's hardest and backing off where it's flatter, then you're not necessarily maximizing Arrow on the flat.
Yeah.
So that drags back some of the gains. It's seconds in between them. The key point is to show up and have fun and don't die.
Yeah.
My best time is just below 10 minutes, so probably going Tron for this one.
Funnily enough, I've got a Climber's Gambit time on this at 8:24, but I've got 3 faster Stampede times, which all would have been ITTs. So that must have been a no early in Zwift or a hard day. I don't know.
So you just try more when you're in Stampede. You just show up to Climber's Gambit and just half-ass it. So
well, maybe I'd done a Stampede right before. I mean, if I look at the results, I see that.
I'm sure that's it. I'm sure you're not just phoning it in at Climber's Gambit. I'm sure you were depleted. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
Well, if I keep going, I finally can get a podium GC, because I think me and John in C category have done all the races so far, with Sean one race behind. So
yeah, thank goodness Kai Sonder dropped out of one of the races. We've got a chance this time.
Oh yeah, Kai's a good cyclist. Good. All right. Well,
Yep.
love your hills. Get the heat. Get up the volcano. Which brings us to the herd of mountain goats. Do we have any idea?
We do not.
Nope.
Something crazy, probably, but
I'm just checking. I'm just gonna see if Matt has updated the event. Although I think his usual style is updated right around now. So,
well, Swift Power hasn't got any other updates. It's still of last
still
week.
showing Tour of Fire and Ice.
Yep.
Yep. So you might get Tour of Fire and Ice.
It might be, because I went in the about section and it says 8 race series, and the Tour of Fire and Ice was the last one on the list. So it might be last week was the end of the series.
We might be on a pause. Yeah. Maybe check Facebook for a post from Matt DeFreitas or someone from the herd talking about whether the series is going to take a pause or not. They might be doing some restructuring. So, if you just want to go ride the Alp, go ahead and race mountain goats. Otherwise, maybe
do HWR. You also have a mountain in there.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say we're gonna talk about other racing events that we're talking about for this weekend next. So maybe try one of those. That brings us to Stampede, which is the 6-train reverse. I put this route in here, and I can't.
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
Is that even a thing, or is that like you just made that up?
No, it's in there.
Okay.
The middle loop of Central Park's ground level loops.
Yeah, so it's 6.6K, but you don't do Harlem Hill and you don't go all the way to like the finish, or I guess you do.
You
the
don't do the like
finish.
bottom part that has the sprint. You don't do that bottom loop,
Yep,
and you don't do the
exactly.
top loop that has Harlem Hill. So it's like, uh, yeah, just like you take both of those kind of connector roads across the middle of the park.
Yeah, the baseball diamonds and I don't know what the one on the bottom is called, but yeah, you skip the hillier parts basically, right? So
Yeah.
so it's rolling, but a little less rolling than New York usually is. And it's 6.6 kilometers, so it should be pretty fast, I would think. Should be able to get it done.
10-ish minutes, a little under
Yeah,
for,
yeah,
yeah.
about then. Still full arrow, everything. Yeah,
Why
we're
is that?
well, this way, can you call it net flat when it's like,
Yep.
just rolling? But yes, technically it is a net flat. You basically, actually, I think it's actually not a net flat. I think it's actually just ever so slightly uphill because the pins are just below the finish line, right?
I think you're
So
correct.
you actually go up into the finish and then all the way around, then a little up. So there's actually a slight net uphill.
Sort of like HWR this week.
6.6% or 6.6K at 0.005%.
Exactly. Exactly. Good. Yeah. We're through the WTRL preview section now, so the courses are a little bit shorter actually the back half on average, I think. And yeah, we've got a custom for Sugar Cookie. The rest are all sort of
Ooh,
regular ones. But
I
you'll get
like,
your Castle Crit in.
yeah, I might jump in for that one in a couple weeks.
I think that's a very interesting TT course because there's definitely a very like uphill to downhill part of it.
Yeah.
So, but it's steppy up, so you got to kind of do it right.
I don't think I've done Castle Crit. Where is that?
It's the Castle Village um in McCurry, like
Yeah.
in Umezi. So you start at
Okay.
like those pens that are just right by the castle there, and then you kind of go like up through the town. So like the finish would normally go to like the sprint. So it's kind of like that little like cobbly bit and then
Okay,
up
yeah.
into the town. And then you kind of take the turn out into the green bit that you'd go up to the temple, but you turn right back into the town towards the sprint banner there. And then you go through the town and then you go downhill past those pens again, right? That kind of descent out of the town that goes down towards like the
Oh, yeah.
rice
Okay.
paddies
I'm
and stuff.
looking at the
So you
map
do
now.
that
Yeah.
little downhill bit and then like you'd make
Back
the
up
right
the
hand turn
cobbles,
back
yeah.
into the city to go up that sort of cobbly bit again.
So you're,
Yeah,
yeah, in terms of crits, you're all like, this is a little bit untraditional in that you're always climbing or descending, right? It's not like flat 90-degree turns. This is,
Yeah. Yeah, the only
yeah,
spot that's
ooh.
flat is from like the top after you go to the green bit through the sprint banner till you hit the descent out of the town.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's the sprint section that's the only flat bit, and maybe just before when you have the KOM banner, it flattens out, but it's
Yeah,
pretty,
that's true.
yeah, it's pretty punchy.
Part of
Yeah.
what I like about this as a quote unquote crit course, I mean it's going to be different. You're going to have to pace it interestingly for Stampede, but we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But like as a crit course, one of the things that I really like about the Glasgow crit is that the way a crit feels in real life is going to be a lot different than, okay, if you have a crit course in Zwift and it's like, okay, it's a lot of, sharp turns. The turns don't actually make you do anything in Zwift. It's having like all those little punchy bits that make you go hard for a little bit and then you recover and then you go hard and then you recover, is like what a crit feels like. And that's what I like about the Glasgow one is like it's all these like short things where you kind of have to sprint or you're getting left behind. Which is more like, okay, I went around a corner and now I have to sprint to stay in the draft. The only way that they can really do that is if they do implement auto braking on turns, and then you gotta sprint to get back up to speed.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
I
think
see what you're saying,
there's
Sean. So instead of like throttling the speed, like forcing you to climb up a little sharp
Yeah.
incline, mimicking that sort of effort. Okay.
yeah, and I think Castle's even like that, but more so, right? Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
it's not quite as steep as like Clyde Kicker, but it's a little longer to that climb up to the KOM, and it's a little longer for that little piece up to the outside the town till you turn right,
Yeah.
and then you
yeah.
get
I think
more recovery.
from the bottom part till you hit like the top of the castle where you have the ramp. It's about, I think, 400 or 500 meters, and it's the steepest part is just that, just when you hit the castle when it flattens out. Then you have that flat bit through the castle, and then you need to have a little bit of a drag out of the castle where you can push again. But it's definitely a nice, interesting course.
I did the group ride there on
Yeah,
Tour de Zwift. For those of you who are on the podcast, that was my air quote group ride. And
yeah.
it was the guys who were like strong, like I held them for I think it was like 4 laps or something to do as part of the Tour de Zwift that
Yeah.
I was like with them for 2 or 3, and then they just like started to really go up that hill. It's like, whoa, not gonna be able to do that. Sorry.
I did that as well, and basically became for me a personal, like was in the group, but I just did some personal intervals up the climb and sprint, some short and some longer intervals, because it was nice with a big group, especially with that shorter sprint. So you can yeah, punch it up, and you can still have the draft of the people not sprinting, but you still have some kind of draft from them to use. So it was quite nice.
Yep. And lots of
Nice.
bodies because of laps and stuff for sure.
And
Yep.
expected, I was about to say, I expected it to be used in ladder racing as well as crit racing, another crit racing series. It's gonna be like you said, it's basically another version of Glasgow crits, more punchy crit course.
And that brings us to the bullseye. Speaking of crit courses, it
Yeah.
is 6 laps of downtown Dolphin with 11 sprints, which is the normal like nonsense crit city and stuff where the first time through the sprint to the top of the hill. So downtown Dolphin is like the reverse direction as I always think of it, right? You do the rollers first and then the little draggy bit to the banner and then down the cobble bit to the
No,
thing.
no, no. Downtown Dolphin is up the cobble climb.
Oh, okay. It's the forward one. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the first time you go through that cobble bit, that banner is going to count. But the first time you go through the lap banner, that won't count. And then every other banner counts after that.
Yeah, because you haven't done a full lap because yeah, you start the pen is right before the banner, so yeah, you don't do a full lap.
Yep.
It doesn't count. Yeah.
Yep. Classic bullseye.
Nonsense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be sprint to the top of the hill, hold on down the rollers, sprint for the banner. Um, I think usually in a bullseye, in terms of like the timing, usually you can wait till you hit the hairpin before you have to send it to hit the banner, right? Like usually people aren't going for the long attack on a bullseye because it's so hard to do that 12 times. In terms of the cobble one, usually you got to send that one from the bottom. It's pretty tough to time that one halfway up to get it. But you don't have to do like the wind up usually from sort of the third turn away. You can usually just hit the bottom of the cobbles and sprint to the top and get your best result. I don't know if there's much else to say. Look out for solo, someone trying to go solo for 8 laps versus 5 laps. Could happen.
It's been a while since I've done a bullseye. Are all categories visible in this?
Typically, I believe that is true. They are visible.
Okay. So you can get some shenanigans going.
You could get onto the A train. Well, it should more than 3 A's show up. Yes, or C's could get on the B train. That might happen. Or D's.
That's more what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yep, that does happen for sure. All right, and that I think is the week of herd racing. I guess next week herd winter racing is gonna be Greater London Flat, which is basically I
All
think
of
it's like
the in-town, like it's the flatter parts of the in-town side of London, so you don't actually cross over. I think that's Greatest London Flat, but it's
got
like
it.
most of Classique and then the kind of big loop back around.
Okay, yeah, just one lap for 17.3K. And if you don't get it HBR, we're gonna do sand and sequoias. So you're going up Titans. Classic sort of stuff for HBR. Good. And that brings us to round the horn. We're gonna talk about we're done ZRL, except for maybe the playoffs in April. We'll see how that all goes. But HWR is getting close to the end, so there's a bunch of other race series and race events. We talked last week about the Zwift Games, and maybe we'll talk a little bit how the GC works in that too, because there was a question someone had about how that works. And then we'll talk about what other types of race series are out there, what else you might be doing, what we're getting prepared for, that kind of thing. So, I guess let's start with Steph. Steph, you want to talk about ladder stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I am captain of one of the EMEA teams, Europe teams, and yeah, we just finished the current season. The next season is starting next week. Was invited by, like, with all the hurtings, yet another chat message group with all the captains. Mainly, it was set up for efficient ways to move people that got upgraded in category to move around. But usually, some her teams did friendly races against each other to end the season, and we decided to do something fun at the end of this series. So we organized like the unofficial herds ladder club championship, where every EMEA team could participate with the riders on their roster. We did it last week with. It was quite a nice turn on. I think we got like 30, 40-ish people from every walks of life. From, I think, the ladder is for people that don't know, is based on the Zwift racing ranks, which are, I think, about 10 ranks, which are a bit different than the usual Zwifts for categories. And I think we had a spread from, I think the highest category was rank 2 Ruby, and the lowest was rank 10. So we are pretty big divergence. But yeah, I just decided to because. But to pick the course, because nobody was taking the initiative, so I just took it. So, and Brent is going. No, yeah, we decided to do it, and I decided to do pick the course. It was I picked it as 5 laps of rooftop rendezvous, so 5 times up the rooftop KOM. Maybe should have done 3 or 4 laps, but yeah, somebody to blame. But I think people had lots of fun, and looking at the posts and the reactions, most people enjoyed it. Some people, and we're gonna see maybe if we're gonna do this on a more regular basis. Should be probably because now it's not really. I don't know if we have seasons anymore, but I think now it's like every 2 months there's a transfer window period, and maybe at the end of that, maybe I will organize something for the people that want to do it. But it was quite a fun kind of non-ladder like racing. But usually ladder racing is 5v5, and now it was just basically HWR, but only for hurt people, EMEA teams. So
Yeah, it's gonna ask stuff. So it didn't actually affect your ladder standing for your
no,
team.
no, it was just an event I organized via created a club in the companion app and did it through there, and with the thanks of Mark John, with his knowledge of organizing racing, he gave me a way to put the race officially on Zwift Power. So it did kind of affect people's rankings for using for ladder racing, because the Zwift racing rank is based on how well you perform in races against each other. So if you do with the difference, the category reinforcements like CDs are based on wattage floors, but like the Zwift racing app is based on how well you do against each other. So if you beat a rider that has higher velo scoring, you get a bump, and vice versa. It's of the same ranking, the ELO ranking, like they do in other sports like chess, for instance, and etc. So they made a bit of a more results-based or performance-based ranking system than just you can do 2.8 watts per kilos. Now you're a C.
Yeah. Cool.
And I just discovered that there's a functionality on their app, on their website, that actually predicts what your placement would have been in that race, and then shows you.
They added it recently. Not recently, but they added it after you see the results. Then you can see how you can't see it beforehand, but it's nice to see afterward.
Right.
It predicts it. I'm going to be 10 out of 10 in ladder races, and now I've done like 7. So usually that means you get a little bump up, or it's kind of interesting to see.
So Brent had to go do a fire drill, so I guess I'll take over running the around the horn. Chris, you were doing something non HWR this morning, right?
I tucked into the Zwift Games, but yeah, I'm just looking at the chat here. That's a literal fire drill in his building. Okay. Because we toss that term around at work for meaning something on a short deadline, but there's literally a fire drill. Okay. So well done, Brent, for getting out quickly. Took his jacket, but left his computer. I think that's the right move.
Good choice.
Cool. So if his little screen goes up in flames, we'll know it was an actual fire, not just a drill. Okay, but failing that, I did the stage 1 of the, is it Zwift Games that they're calling it? I know we just talked about this last week. Yeah, the sprint session. So I'm not going to get to the minimum number for HWR as much as I love tucking into those races. So I took one look at the course for HWR this morning. I was like, well, I'm not going to do that, so let's do Zwift Games instead. So I tucked into Zwift Games stage 1 sprint, and it was a whole lot of fun. I had zero clue about the course or the power-ups or really any of it, but I just saw it was
another well-researched Chris race.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're gonna get out of me. 5 minutes warm up. Saw that the Zwift play was still making me auto brake and shut that off, and then hopped into the pen and off we go. But it was a big field, and I do recall that the overall GC for this is based on time overall. So I figured, okay, big field equals big draft, a lot of company around me when I get dropped. And that played out nicely. But the course for this is, what is it, loop de loop? So I had no idea where the heck I was going. I was turning left when I thought I was going straight. I was going straight when I thought I was turning right.
Are they all new courses for this
Yeah.
Zwift Games?
No.
That's not a me question.
There
Well,
are new
Luke-
courses for most of the stages, but not all of the courses
Not
are
all
new.
of them are new. Yeah. I
No,
mean, I
the
wonder how
loop- the
much
loop
that
is-
affects racing. Like your expectation, like Chris, you didn't look okay. I don't even know if I can find loop to loop what the course is on the elevation and all that. So
Yeah, we
I
ended up
think
going up. Oh, go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, I think you're gonna probably is gonna be some kind of Zwift insider link already.
Yeah,
There is.
loop to loop. Yeah, so you come out of the downtown pens, you go up the small ramp up to the S's, do that. And the one power up, it's 2 laps of this, of loop to loop. You only get 1 power up each lap. It's at the first JW Bridge sprint banner. You don't get it at the, yeah. So this was news to not just me, which I felt better about. It was news to everybody, except for a few people who actually did research pre-race. You don't get it anywhere else. You don't get it at, because you go up the Zwift KOM forward,
And you go
right?
through the
Yeah, forward,
yeah.
and you go through the downtown banner. You just get XP, mini XP at both of those. You just get 1 power up. And I don't know if it's just I only got a draft power up. I'm not sure if it's auto set to just have drafts. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a lot of fun watching all the groups form and sticking in where I could. Obviously, lap 2, I knew what was coming up because we had just done it on lap 1. But you go S's down to the sprint,
Loop.
loop around, and then end up going up the Zwift KOM forward, hitting the bypass on the way back down and coming down to the downtown banner. I think that's about right.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as a course where it's got the loops on both ends.
Yeah.
The going up the KOM and then you come down like most of the like reverse, but then you do the bypass and come back down the thing you just came up. I like that as part of the part of a course.
Yeah, it was a fun ride, and I'll probably try to get in all the Zwift game things just to be part of the overall GC. That was good.
A lot of riders, it looks like. How many were in your race?
Yeah, there were. My goal was to finish top half. There were 300, and that would have been a north of 190. So there were 380, at least on Zwift. I don't know what Zwift power numbers look like.
And that was in your. Is it all categories visible?
No, that was just in BCAT.
Just in B. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's because it's early on. It was good timing, like afterward crowd on a Friday for the UK and the Euro times.
Yeah.
Just that was 9 o'clock a.m. for me, and that was a significant bump from the 8 a.m. pen numbers. So I opted for the 9 a.m.
Yeah, the weekend should be even bigger, I bet. Let's see.
Yeah, find a big race. Get a good draft.
Yeah, I got from one of the other Facebook messengers group for the EMEA D Herd group. Someone said in the D category there were like 250 people in game race and about half of them on Zwift Power. So for a D ride, it's also pretty good numbers. But usually these kind of overall, like Tour de Zwift, Tour of Watopia, whatever, they usually do have pretty big numbers. So anyways.
And don't forget there's women's only stages. So.
Yep, and there are women's only stages. I trust James has figured out how to manage and measure those. So yeah, that's good fun. The other thing I was looking at was like the chasing tour with the UCI calendar kicking off in full anger with the spring classics and getting into some of the early season stage races. The chasing tour, which mimics that, is getting going, and they have chasing. They call it Chasing Strada or Chasing
This
Bianchi.
one's Chasing Bianchi, yeah.
Chasing Bianchi going off tomorrow, mirroring Strada Bianchi. So I was looking at ducking into that, but that at 10:30 Pacific time zone AM slot is where I would choose to race, but I'm just not sure if my daughter's horseback riding lessons are back on tomorrow. And if they are, I'm going to be stuck taking her to the stables. So yeah, if it's a rainy day out here, I'll be doing Road to Ruins, it looks like. If not, I'm just going to have to like duck into chasing. What's Chasing d'Azur?
So
the I know we got
like what is the name of the race?
It's
Is
gonna,
it
it's gonna be
Paris-Nice?
Paris, yeah.
Yeah,
Paris-Nice.
Paris.
Paris-Nice is kicking off. So yeah. Oh, and Torino Adriatico's next week as well. So yeah, maybe kind of a hybrid of those two.
Yeah, probably.
And then 2 weeks chasing San Remo. So like all the and then the Chasing Classics series. So there is something fun about a lot of these. Like some of them are one-day races, some of them are series. And one of the things that I find really interesting about the calendar is that there's a Chasing Classics point series where, so this is from March 22nd to April 21st. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 races. Chasing Saxo, Chasing Wevelgem, Chasing Dwars, Chasing Vlaanderen, Chasing Roubaix, Chasing Amstel, Chasing Wallon, and Chasing Liège. So it's like, hey, it's classic season, and we're just gonna do a new race every few days. And we'll have a GC for all of these classics, which is kind of fun.
It is fun. I wish there were more time slots available because sometimes that doesn't always line up, but that's just me being picky. Like this whole concept is really cool. And the fact that there's a Chasing Classics like subcategory on that, if you're somebody like me and my my stature is more of a classics-ish rider, that would be really cool to get in there and see how I stack up over all of these, but not sure it'll happen. Maybe someday.
The one thing that if you are interested in getting yourself into these, like the GCs for any of these, I think you do need to sign up, register on chasingtour.com. And then you can get into the competition there.
Yeah,
I
all the
think you
race
can
passes
still,
are listed on there.
yeah, I think you can still like log in and race. You just won't get like I think that you can, jump into the or am I wrong? You need a race pass to get into the races.
That's an excellent question. I don't know the answer to that. Just
Yeah.
like most things in life, I just kind of hopped in here and figured it out. What I can tell you is that your category ABCD is based off of your velo score on Zwift Racing.
Okay.
So a different way to slice and dice it. So for this, I'm going to be like the very bottom end of B, which is where I'm at anyway on like Zwift Power Ranking and Zwift Ranking.
Cool.
But yeah, chasingtour.com, and you can sign up there, link your Zwift account. It'll tell you where to register at. It'll give you the race pass links. You can even select your team, which I went to the drop-down box and Herd is listed. So I selected Herd as my team. Not sure what that does or what that means, but hey, I'm part of the team, you guys. And looking forward to a season of fun where I can hop in.
Nice.
Brent's back. It was not an actual fire. It was just a drill.
Just a drill.
Just a drill. I was gonna pour the rest of this Miller Lite on the computer if your screen started to go up in flames.
Yeah, good times. So everybody else do their stuff? We're through them all.
Oh, we were waiting for you. It's been
All right,
20
well,
minutes of silence.
best podcast ever. Yeah, I
John's
did.
gonna edit it all out. It's fine.
I've been doing ATAP, the ATAP stuff. I did the prologue. I had a power drop. Um, made an angry chase onto like a chase group. Got dropped in the front group, and then attacked them relentlessly on the by the crab shack there down around the coastal part and beat my group. But I don't know. I came in like in the middle somewhere. Like that was yeah. Shouldn't have really been with those guys. And then I did Bigfoot Hills last weekend, and I think I ended up like 49th out of like 525 riders or something like that. I just about made it with the lead group across um, Titans Forward, but like it was all strung out, and I was with kind of the group, and then like I was like cooked and had to like just try and take a breath, and they just kept pressing and pressing and pressing, and it all kind of broke up over the back half of Titans. And so I ended up in a group at between 48, 56 or something like that, pretty much the whole rest of the way. We stayed together. And then got like second in the sprint at the end, I guess. It was pretty much just a straight sprint.
That's impressive in terms of finishing position for that was the ETAP series, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked
Massive numbers.
did for Zwift Racing app or whatever, but yeah, I think top 10%, I was like pretty happy with that. So
Cool.
yeah. So I'll probably maybe keep doing those on Sundays. I gotta get volume in, so
Are
see
those
how
going to
that
be
goes.
running every Sunday? The
I
tops?
think they run on the weekends, or maybe they're gonna be, are they gonna pause them now for uh Zwift Games? I don't know. I haven't looked.
Yeah,
But
these are not the people you come to for answers. At least I'm not.
yeah,
Are they all
I-
longer routes? It sounded like Bigfoot
I
Hills.
believe so. Yes.
Mm.
I can't tell. There's no schedule listed, so okay, it looks like there's maybe one a month for February, March, and April.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll work on some other stuff then too.
John, do you have any like outside of you were doing ZRL, right?
I was doing CRL. We won our last race, so I'm just basking in the glory.
Hey,
Nice.
congrats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
we
right.
were,
You guys had four riders and still won the
it
TTT,
was
right? Yeah.
crazy.
What?
Crazy. We had
Whoa.
4 riders. We were tied for third. 1 point separated us from second. The Rhino guys in first were, there's no chance we're going to catch them unless they just had a complete dropout and meltdown. But yeah, I mean, I was cooked at the end of it, but
I'm sure all four of you were.
we somehow got myself, we drug my ass across the line. And yeah, we were all very surprised and managed to catch the second place team in the overall standing. So yeah, came in
Nice.
second. It's unexpected and glorious. So I think I'll try those Zwift games. That's
Yeah.
that's my current plan. I like the idea of doing the Flamme Rouge in my head and not doing it in real life, because I think it's just that's over the top.
What's that one?
The Flamme Rouge.
Yeah.
It's just that, what was it, Steph? 26 long rides in 28 days, and they're like 50, 60K rides, or races
Yeah.
up the Alp, and yeah.
Yeah, it basically mimics, I think, a Grand Tour. You have March, so it starts next week. I've seen on the website until the 24th, so that's 23 days, and you have 21 race days, so 7 days straight, rest day, 7 days races straight, rest day, and 7 days races straight. And like I said, I think it's 930 kilometers, so you can figure it out with almost 12,000 meters of elevation. So
No joke.
The
So
first event
people,
Yeah.
so,
is an
people,
ITT on Classic Fondo for
yeah.
45 kilometers.
35K.
That is just mean.
Yeah, all of the ITTs are at least 40K. There are 4. 5 of, oh, well, I guess Bologna is the other one, so 26K of
Only
Bologna.
26K.
Yeah.
Only 26K. I mean, at that point, yeah,
Well,
do that in their
well,
sleep.
or Keytail after party. I don't know what scores that is, but also almost 30Ks with, yeah. And I think the 14th stage Dutch corner dash, that's probably going up the Alp.
Yeah.
82K with almost 1800 meters of elevation. So, yeah.
Makes me wonder who's riding these. Like, are these retired people? Because that's just a lot of time. That is
Yeah.
grad students.
I think that I think Dan Pedrosa was doing the Flamme Rouge stuff at one point. Yeah.
It's Saturdays, right? So every Saturday you go to a.
No, it's every day.
It's every day.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah.
Oh, right.
7 days in a row.
You're
You're on the bike for like 2 to 3 hours a day. Like, how's that work?
Good Lord.
Honey, I'm gonna be you take care of the kids. I'll be on my bike every evening for 4 months straight. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'll think about it. Luckily,
You can always get Amazon to just deliver stuff. It'll be fine.
I'm too sick to start, so I guess I won't be doing all 21. But you know, maybe one of
stage hunting.
well, or maybe doing one of the series, like doing the 3rd series of 7, like in a week. That could be fun if I'm feeling up to it.
Oh, I
in a
see.
couple
Because
weeks.
they've broken it out into 3 editions as
Yeah.
like subcategories of the 21 Grand Tour. Okay.
They have a made up
Yeah,
name for it.
Yeah, you usually the the Flamme Rouge is usually a week. I think 8 days or something like that, and I think they have like 7 days of racing with rest day usually in between. But now it's mimicking like a world tour, a grand tour, or like the Tour de France or anything, something like that.
Cool.
These
Yeah,
Flamme
I go ahead.
These Flamme Rouge guys are different cats.
Yeah.
Just looking at like 24-hour Ventop Club Challenge.
I was just
What
going to mention that.
earth?
Yeah. Which, if you do it right, is just 1 ascent of Ventop.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think I'm probably more likely to also lean into the Zwift Games as the in between the ZRL and the playoffs, like something to fill in March. But if I get frisky, who knows? Maybe that 3rd edition of FRR.
yeah, 1 week
So
would be a fun
what's
project.
Yeah.
what's the situation with ZRL wrapping, but the playoffs not being until April, which is
I think it's because of
March
Zwift
1st.
Games.
Yeah,
They couldn't
yeah,
have planned that better?
I think that Zwift takes priority there. They had their plan for this is the thing we want to do, and I think that, I mean, even in the past, ZRL likes giving a bit of a break in between things.
But between like the regular season and the playoffs, that seems like a
usually
month-long.
a month long is a little much, but
Okay.
like I know that I have definitely seen some people who have been complaining about like the rules, as they always do, but like, well, we had several people upgrade mid-season and they could ride in the rest of the series, but now they can't ride in the playoffs. It's like, well, yeah, that's the rules. That's the rules they gave. And like, and then the other half of the team can't ride because they want to be riding outside. Okay.
Okay.
But
What are the format of the ZRL playoffs?
Yeah, so this is actually the thing that so usually it's a they do a cup plate bowl thing where it's like the first round determines who you're going to be like which level, like it keeps splitting several times, and like the first round determines who you'll be racing in the second round, and the second round determines who you'll be racing in the final. In the last,
so like the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams, and then they split those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a round robin ish thing in the first half, and then they determine where you end up. But the thing that I really like that they're doing for the finals is, so this weekend, check your emails if you've been racing ZRL, because they're asking for input on what the courses will be. So it's going to be a vote on the courses for each of the 3 races. So one scratch, 1 points, and 1 TTT. And it's community decided what those courses are going to be. And I think it's actually only it's only chosen from the courses that were raced over this year. So over the 3 rounds. So that gives like an 18 options for those 3 courses. But
and are they doing the same format where one's a scratch race, one's a points race?
Yeah, so one of each. But I don't think that I don't think the TTT options have to be from among those 3 TTTs that we did. Or 6, I guess there were 6. I don't think, but I guess we'll see when the email goes out.
Is this the last ZRL season until like summer break?
Yeah, so I think that this is it until it comes back in the fall. Like as usual, it's like they do the 3 rounds, and that's how you determine who can ride in the playoffs. Like if you've ridden more than 3 races in any of the 3 rounds that we've done so far, then you are technically available for that team for the finals, as long as you are still in the right category. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so this is the culmination of all 3 series.
Yes.
Wow, okay. Apologies for the ignorance. I just haven't ridden any ZRL this year, so I have no idea what the heck's going on.
I know that you have. Because
Oh, did I? Was that this year?
With us, yeah.
Okay, that was the last thing I rode, and that would have been what?
That was, I think, the fall. So like the first
pre-Halloween.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. Cool. Well, thank you for that explanation.
Oh yeah, but we have no idea what the courses are or anything yet. So it's
not yet. Yeah.
Apparently, it's being crowdsourced.
Yeah, I'd be happy if they brought back like the fixed time one. I thought that was an interesting format. I'd try that on a different course besides Muckleyan.
All right, guys, I need to log off and drive away.
Fair enough. All right. With that, we will say thank you to John Keenan. Thank you to Steph Etchen. Thank you to Chris Greenland. Thank you to Sean Fogenberg. Enjoy your races this weekend, everybody. Boo and good night.
Yeah.
All right.